Tafadhali, let's take our seats. Mr. Deputy President, the Cabinet Secretary responsible for Interior, PS, senior officers, regional commissioners, county commissioners, assistant county commissioners, the leadership of Kenya School of Government. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Jambo. Let me take this opportunity first and foremost to congratulate all of you for the positions you hold in this administration, positions of responsibility, positions of great interest to the people of Kenya, and positions that will shape the destiny. It's been something I have been looking forward to. I think for the last 3 months, I've had conversations with the leadership of the Ministry of Interior on the setting up of this meeting so that we can have interaction and conversation, and so that I can share with you my views, my thoughts as to where we want to take Kenya. Let me confirm that initially I was supposed to have a meeting with the county commissioners, but after some consultation, I asked the Minister of Interior to extend this invitation to the DCCs. And as Hassan has put it, he has said it's been a while since the officers at the level of the DCCs have had an occasion to engage at this level, and I'm very proud that we are doing it here today. Karibuni sana. I will also attempt an occasion to meet the assistant county commissioners, because they too are part of this organization you call the machine. So thank you very much. Let me just say a couple of things, because many of you know my views on how we should proceed as a country. The Constitution of Kenya, in fact, I think the 6th schedule of the Constitution of Kenya, Part 4, Article 17, clearly states what should happen to Ngao. And I think the necessary law subsequent to that provision of the Constitution has been put in place, and therefore these national government administrative officers is a properly constitutionally constituted arm of government. There should be no doubt whatsoever as to the place of Ngao in the governance of Kenya. The Constitution itself speaks to the configuration of this outfit in a manner that supports the governance of our country, even in the context of our devolved system of government. I know there's been back and forth as to the place of the national government administrative units in the context of devolution. We've had time over the last 10 years to work on it, and I think it's now an established principle that the national government administrative units have a pivotal role to play in the governance of Kenya. And therefore, there is absolutely no doubt, as there was before, when many were pushing that what was called the provincial administration should be abolished. I think we are way beyond that, and there is a greater appreciation today of the place of the national government administration officers or administrative officers, commonly known as Ngao. And so I want to be very clear to you that your place is constitutional, it is legal, and it is proper. And you should serve with dignity, knowing very well that you're serving the people of Kenya, and you have my confidence in so doing. The place of Ngao is important to the security and development of our country. We have, and I say this without fear of any equivocation, we have a great country called Kenya. If I had a chance to be born again, I would want to be born in Kenya. That is how much I believe in this country. And I believe Kenya is a great country. And our duty is to make it greater by unlocking the potential that exists in our country. I will go out of my way and do whatever it is that is possible for us to take Kenya to the next level. And for us to do that, it cannot be done by a person. It has to be done by a team. In fact, it has to be done by a team of 55 million Kenyans. All of us must make a contribution, all of us must participate, and all of us must contribute. And as citizens make their contribution, as citizens go out of their way, it is up to government to provide the environment, the space for citizens to be their best. We are a robustly democratic country. And because we are a democratic country and we value and cherish our democracy, the rule of law is central to any democracy. You cannot have a democracy without the rule of law. It is not possible. The rule of law underpins democracy, creates order, creates responsibility, and brings about accountability. And therefore, it is very important in a democratic country like ours for us to collectively, as citizens of Kenya, to make sure that each and every one of us operates under the rule of law. It is the one thing that creates order. It is the thing that creates accountability, and it is what makes each and every one of us responsible. It is not philosophical. It is what it is. And therefore, officers of Ngao occupy a very central place, because for a country to make progress, two things are fundamental. One is security and stability, and the other is development. Officers of Ngao from the region, the county, the sub-county, all the way to the sub-location, chair both security committees and also coordinate development activities on the ground. Our democracy is meant to give us an opportunity as a country, when we all believe in the rule of law. It affords us an opportunity for growth, for development, for progress, for business, for all the other activities that creates growth in our country and creates prosperity that is shared by all of us. And therefore, it is very important for you as officers of national government administration to appropriate your place as the people who are charged with the responsibility on matter security of your areas of jurisdiction, and as officers given the responsibility to coordinate all government development activities in your areas of jurisdiction. And because you have that dual responsibility, it is very important that you understand and provide leadership at the level where you are, working with your seniors and assisting those below you to have a coherent administration ecosystem that supports security, stability, and promotes development activities in our localities across the country. I am very confident that each and every one of you has had an occasion and time to interrogate our manifesto, the manifesto of this administration, so that you can understand some of the programs and projects that we are focused on doing. And I would ask each and every one of you to take time. It's good literature to read the manifesto. It is very good literature. It's good to understand so that you can better support us in the implementation. I am grateful for what the Ngao officers have done on all the aspects that we have asked you to participate in. And they have been said very ably by your representative here. On matters education, you know what our position is. You know what the law says. The law is absolutely clear. The Children's Act speaks with clarity to the responsibility placed on every parent to make sure that any child of school-going age must be in school. You as officers of government must go out of your way and make sure that in your area of jurisdiction, the children of Kenya who are supposed to be in school must be in school. And for whatever reason, if they don't have to be in school, we must have an explanation and we must have an intervention that makes them go to school. And please go out of your way. Do not allow things to go wrong merely because it is supposed to be somebody else's responsibility. I have said in the past that whatever development activities, whether they are carried out by the national government or they are carried out by the county government, you have a duty to support those development activities because they ultimately benefit the people of Kenya. To the extent that you can, without causing friction with others, you should go out of your way to support government initiatives and programs and projects, whether they are national government functions, whether they are run by constituencies or they are run by counties. You have a duty as government officers to support and facilitate the implementation of those programs and to make sure that public resources are spent in a manner that benefits the people of Kenya. So, children across Kenya, number one, whether it is going to our ECDs or the next level of education, we have already given clear directions on transition from primary to secondary, now from primary to JSS, and eventually to senior secondary school. I implore on you to make it one of your KPIs and make sure that the people under you understand that this is where we want to take the country. Get involved in the proper identification of beneficiaries of bursaries, where, to the extent that is possible, we want bursaries to benefit the most vulnerable and deserving in our society. Do not allow unscrupulous people. Let's point them out. Let's call them out. Whether they are friends of a senior government official or they are relatives of another public official, let us go out of our way to make sure that the right thing happens. I must commend you on what the Deputy President has said. You know very well that we had a big crisis of food production in Kenya. And we were spending money in interventions that were not giving us the results we were looking for. And that is why we stopped subsidies on consumption and decided that we are going to promote and support production. Your intervention in identification of farmers across Kenya has made the fertilizer supply and distribution in Kenya a very successful program. I must commend you. Pongezi, you did a wonderful job in a short time, and today, by God's grace, we have a country that has produced much more food across Kenya than has been done in a while. That program must continue. In fact, this morning I was having a conversation with our new CS for agriculture to make sure that fertilizer supply across Kenya is available. You people must take time, make it your business to find out at the depot near you what is the situation. We have programs with counties that are supporting this program, and they are providing stores across. Find out what's going on. Get that information to the right offices so that we can use that information to plan better for the future. We have a whole program targeting our cooperatives. You know very well that governance in the cooperative sector is a big challenge. We've just factored in money for example, on coffee, to support our farmers who have been saddled with debts that they cannot pay. Some of these debts were, contracted in a way that may not have met the requisite rules. As we step in to sort out the coffee debts, you must be at the forefront in making sure that we get the right beneficiaries. We need your input in explaining to the public why it is important for citizens to participate in the elections of these cooperatives so that they can get the right people to run the cooperatives. You must support the Ministry of Agriculture to make sure that they are working on the right information. We now have a fund, Coffee Cherry Fund, where cooperatives can access credit for their farmers at 3%. But you find some of the cooperatives still going to borrow money from some banks and some dubious financial institutions who charge interest rates of 15, 20, 25%. In the process, there is a lot of accountability challenges. You officers of government must explain to the people on the ground that government has a facility, and members of cooperatives must insist that if there is any money to be borrowed, proper regulations must be followed, proper approvals must be obtained, and unless otherwise, that money can be borrowed from the Coffee Cherry Fund that has a 3% interest and not other financial institutions. let me also say that, as you're all aware, we have a serious challenge. In fact, a challenge that is global in nature and is posing an existential threat to life, the challenge of climate change. And climate change is not a cliche. It is a reality that we live with every day. As a country, we swung from a devastating drought, in 2022, where we lost close to 2.5 million livestock. Straight in 2023, and in 2024, we had a flood that again caused, damage, and we lost lives. And therefore, it is important for us to have a long-term view of how do we deal with climate change. And among the interventions that we have put in place is the whole restoration of degraded ecosystems, management of water towers, ensuring that we participate in the tree growing intervention in Kenya. And I expect that members of Ngao would lead the way and would identify areas in their localities where this exercise should go on, the restoration of degraded water towers or rangelands, and the actual growing of trees. Shortly, we are working on an intervention that will bring more workforce, more people into the space of managing the effects of climate change. We expect that you, as members of Ngao, will work with us in making sure that we have the right people to work with. We will be mobilizing maybe close to 100,000 young people to provide necessary interventions around management of climate change. And I look forward to working with you in a manner that will help us manage the effects of climate change. As has been said here, the issue of substance abuse and alcoholism, second generation dangerous brews, is damaging and destroying families. And a whole generation is at risk. And it is our responsibility as government, and you take the front line in making sure that in your localities you must go out of your way to make sure that we take control of this situation and deal firmly and decisively with the menace of substance abuse, alcoholism, all these dangerous, poisonous substances and brews that our citizens are being subjected to. I know there is a lot of pushback from all manner of quarters, but fighting substance abuse and alcoholism is a war we must win. It is the only way we are going to save a generation of Kenyans, and we are going to protect our families. On this, ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of us must be held to account. I sometimes get very discouraged when I go to places and you find some of our national government administration officials, you know, in a situation that you can clearly know that they have, unfortunately, they are victims of substance abuse. It sends the very wrong signal. You cannot tell people not to be drunk when you are drunk. It simply doesn't make sense. You know? So really, I agree that there is nobody I have seen who has died because they stopped drinking or become, you know, because, you know, good people, authority comes with a lot of responsibility. If you want to exercise authority, you have to carry a lot of responsibility on yourself. You cannot issue orders to others if you are not responsible yourself. And you see, three things work together: authority, responsibility, and accountability. The more authority you have, the more accountable you must become, and the higher the accountability that is expected of you. You cannot have it any other way. We have a lot of other government programs that are going on. It is your responsibility to sensitize the public on what is going on. We have a whole housing program that is being rolled out across the country. We have a whole market development program. We are building close to 400 markets around Kenya for three reasons. Number one, to make sure that we have a market infrastructure that supports our production and gives an opportunity to our farmers to access markets for their produce. It's also about food security, providing infrastructure that supports storage, that support value addition, that support preservation so that we reduce on post-harvest losses. And it also begins to give us an opportunity to do value addition and make sure that we are not just selling primary products, and we can begin to access market infrastructure that increases incomes for our farmers. We have a whole program now that we are rolling out on health. You know very well how important health is. In fact, the second most important item, apart from education, is health. It's very important. And it is the reason why I have gone out of my way to build a new legal ecosystem, working with Parliament, so that we have a farmer foundation upon which to build our health infrastructure. And it became necessary for us to do this because under the old National Hospital Insurance Fund or National Health Insurance Fund, we had serious challenges. I was with the nuncio yesterday, and I've had occasion to meet with many church leaders. And the constant issue they bring to me is NHIF has not given us our refunds. NHIF owes us a lot of money. And it is because we had a challenge with NHIF. Because, for example, there was a hospital somewhere here in Kino. It was called St. Something, on some third floor of a building. And it was doing more surgeries, in quotes, than Kenyatta Hospital. In that hospital, there were more accountants than nurses because they were gaming the NHIF system. And that is how we must re-engineer that whole space, digitize the whole ecosystem so that we can bring more accountability into that space. And sometimes that's the reason why you have a lot of pushback from people who go to this court and that court and the other court, because they want to protect this gaming of the system, that we end up, one person in one occasion has been amputated 10 times. Sasa kama mguu yako ilikatwa, alafu tena sijui ilimea ikakatwa tena 10 times, same person. You know, these are the kind of things that is taking our country backwards. And that is why we must, you know, provide and take the bull by the horns and tell the people operating with impunity, enough is enough. We need to get the country moving. Thank you very much for your support for the community health promoters. Yes, they are a very big resource. We are working with the county governments. I want you, as members of Ngao, to support the community health promoters so that we can better plan the health of our citizens. Community health promoters are equipped. We have 100,000 of them around Kenya, I think 100,008. And we have given a kit to each and every one of them across Kenya, bought by the national government. We contribute half their stipend because we want every locality to have a community health person who can begin to collect data for us. What are the prevalent diseases in this area, so that we can better plan ahead what kind of medical facilities, what kind of medical commodities, what kind of medicine that we need to deploy to manage the health of our nation. So again, let me ask you and your teams below you to work with us in supporting the whole ecosystem of health that we are working on. We are rolling out digital hubs. Many of you must have heard me talk about this. We changed the law on CDF to make it possible for members of parliament to establish an ICT hub in every ward. It is important for you as members of this government to begin to sensitize people, begin to look out for these digital spaces so that we can begin to channel young people into those spaces and begin to equip them with digital skills, support them to get digital jobs, expand digital commerce, and begin to enhance the incomes of young people across the country. I am very happy that there is a conversation that is ongoing around what to do with our village elders, the people who work under the assistant chiefs and chiefs. We need to work with that conversation and see how best to get them into the security ecosystem to support that process. So I know I've said many things. I could still tell you more, but let me stop there for today. But to also say to you that we know the sacrifices that you make. We know the contribution that you make. I am particularly aware that sometimes you work in situations that are not optimal, but you still do your best. And I must say, I congratulate those of you who go out of their duty to do that. As has been said here, promotions are delayed, especially for the officers at the level of ACCs and those above, for about 7 years. And when it was brought to my attention, I did instruct the ministry to provide resources for training. I'm happy that the first cohort of about 400 are completing their training in the next couple of days, and the next cohort of another 400 will be reporting immediately thereafter. And subsequently, this process must be as efficient and frequent as is necessary for us to make sure that no officer gets stuck at any level because they haven't received the requisite training. I want to commit to you that we are going to provide resources to make sure that there is continuous training and equipment of the national government administration officers so that they can better deliver on the mandate that you have and support the governance, the administration, and the development of our country. I know that, as has been said, that there is need also to provide for mobility of officers. We are constrained, but I undertook, for example, to carry out the modernization of the police. I think we are very well underway in modernizing both the police, the prisons, and the NYS. I want to say we are going to do the same with the national government administration officers. We are working on the first 1,000 vehicles. Maybe progressively every year we will see whether we can get 1,000 vehicles every year until we have every officer at a certain level with a car. We are going to be going the direction of electric motor vehicles, just for your information. So you will not need to struggle with looking for fuel. We will also give you a charger. So wakati uko kwa ofisi, gari ina charge hapo nje. Kitoka kwa ofisi, battery iko full, unasonga. And I am told that when the battery is full, it can do 300 kilometers. So you can even charge the guy every 2 days, so you have no problem. So we are looking into that space, and I just want to say the first people to begin the journey on electric motor vehicles will be central government, starting with both the police and yourselves. So maybe in another, how many months will we have the vehicles, gentlemen? 2 months. Good. So in 2 months' time, we will have those vehicles, and we will try and facilitate. And I have told the ministry to begin to interrogate how we can support